Hello everybody, Reggie Time here with episode 12 of my September social series. The fundraising has now stopped. I'm not asking for any more donations. However, if you haven't made a donation and you would like to, I will still accept them and put them towards the donation I'm making on the 4th of October to the Friday Club group. I made the first donation last night. I handed £100 over to the gentleman who runs the Wednesday Club. I've asked him to write me a short email confirming that, and as soon as I have that email I will post it to the Facebook group, just as proof that the money has gone where it was intended. So yeah, no more haranguing you guys for money. It's been mission accomplished to raise the amount that I wanted to raise, and I'm really pleased with that. I'm really pleased that some of you decided to get involved. Right, on to the poker chat. These session today is from two sessions I played, like Wednesday afternoon and then the early hours of Thursday morning. I slightly changed tack. The games were appalling last night. I logged in around whatever time it might have been, midnight or something, to play, and it was just wall-to-wall regulars. Some tables had no fish whatsoever, just all regs. Some tables had like one fish and all regs. And as decent as these players are, like in terms of like their technical poker ability, I mean, no one's pulling up any trees on Sky. None of us said they're going to be like the next Stu Unger, but at the same time, solid regulars. I looked at it and thought, what are these guys doing? Why are you all playing each other when there's no obvious mark at the table? Where's your edge at? How are you beating the rake, etc. And then I realised that's what I've been doing for like the last 10 days or more in a bid to get volume in, and I was just like, no, I'm just not doing this. It's not my way. It's not my methods. My methods are to scout good tables, sit them, don't play too many, focus, and primarily focus on filtering the fish, and just like trying to play as well as I can when I am involved in pots with regulars. So I actually made a post to Facebook commenting on like how dreadful the games were and how I was going to try and stay awake, wait till a few of the regs went to bed, and then play a session at the end of the day against regulars at the end of a long grueling grind, and hopefully some fish would join. And that's exactly what happened. And I just felt a lot more comfortable. It felt like I was more back in my place, in my little poker niche. I haven't been chasing the points on Sky because with my volume, even if I did double my volume, I'm still never going to win a rake race, anything like that. But the rake race ends today at midnight, or midnight on Friday morning, should I say. Hopefully the games will get back to being a little bit better, because the last few days it's been fucking absurd. 10&L's just been like full of regulars knocking the fuck out of each other, just for these rake points, and whoever wins the races and finishes second, third, and fourth are going to do okay. The rest of them are going to have like been really busy fools for a long time, and probably close to burning out, I would imagine. So I'm looking forward to getting some good games over the weekends. Hopefully the regs will all take a break once the rake race is over, and leave me and just a few other non-burned out regulars to take advantage of what's usually really good weekend games on Sky. So let's get on with the hands. This first hand, we have 2 jacks in the hole. Tight fish limps. We isolate. Good regular big hawk at G9. 3 bets us. I don't think he gets too out of line in these spots, to be honest with you. I don't think we have a particularly aggressive dynamic versus each other. If I had slightly weaker hands, I'd have no issue folding here, but I think Jacks is just too strong. I don't think he's like 3-betting 9s and 10s very often. But it just feels, Jacks feels like it's too much of a strong hand to fold. Or like turning, well, not turning to a bluff, but it feels like too weak to 4-bet, get it in, too strong to fold. Obviously, trivial call, or relatively easy call. And we go to a flop of Queen 5-4. He does c-bet, we call. There's obviously a very good chance we're behind here to overpairs, ace queen, etc. But then we can't just go folding pocket jacks to 1 c-bet in a 3-bet pot on a queen high flop. We need to at least see what happens on the turn. So we do call. turn is a brick. He goes check, check. Now I'm pretty comfortable that he probably, maybe I guess he could have some queen X at spot controlling. If he is in there with a hand like, I don't know, some sort of queen, he's turned into a bluff. Well, not turning into a bluff, that'd be the wrong way of putting it. I don't know. But if he's in there with a queen, he could definitely just pot control. He's in there with like a one pair hand. Don't think he'd pot control with like aces or kings too often. I think he probably would barrel turns if he had draws. If he had a hand like, I don't know, queen jack suited or something like that, or ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, things like that. Maybe would just check back the turn, try and realise their equity. Because when I check call on this board, I look very pocket pair heavy. I didn't 4-bet pre, so I don't have like much of the ace king, that type of thing in my range. And when I check call the flop, I'm going to be very pair heavy, queen X, and kind of all my middle pairs, probably like pocket sixes through where we are now. So yeah, I can understand why you would want to check back, and some hands that do contain a queen, because he's not likely to get 3 streets of value from most of my range, and it might encourage me to bluff some rivers, or he might be able to get some thinner value on rivers. So I didn't really know what his check back meant, other than I didn't think he had an amazingly strong hand. And then he decides to bet 760 on the river. It's a super value sizing. I felt dirty. I thought, I can't really fold. This is probably the best hand that I'm going to have in this spot. So if I'm folding this, I'm folding almost everything, because if I have a better hand, if I have like, a set, I'm leading the river. If I have a slow played over pair, I'm leading the river. This is probably the best hand that I'm going to be checking. Maybe once in a while, if I've made a loose call pre, you can have some like queen 10 suited and stuff, maybe queen jack suited. It's too close to the top of our range, and he can have some bluffs given that he checked back. So I made a quick decision to pay him off. Didn't like it. I was surprised to see kings, to be honest with you. Didn't think he would check pocket kings on that turn. Not really understanding why he did. I mean, he earned him money, which is probably a good reason for why he did it. But yeah, I wouldn't expect this player to have checked pocket kings on that turn. But never mind. So next time we were table starting a 20-0 table against an unknown player. He makes a small 3-bet. We defend the king queen suited. Obviously could consider 4-betting, but I wouldn't want to get 5-bet, so we just call, take a flop. He leads out really big for pot, and we have the easiest call in the history of the world with our trips. He literally turbo jammed this turn. It was like a second, the turn card hit, bang, he was all in. Obviously I turbo called. Not a particularly interesting hand, other than to note the hand that he turned up with. The 8-3 of spades. Clearly it was someone just, well, I don't know. Don't know what his thinking is there. Not really sure. There's no dynamic. We've only been playing a few hands. There's no dynamic where he's just decided to take a weird line, like 3-bet me pre-flop. I don't know. He was just clearly someone on a mission to self-destruct, and I was happy to be the beneficiary. Here we have 2 aces. We 3-bet a early position open. This player here was he's turned up last couple of days in some cash games. I haven't seen him in the cash games very often before. He was also playing 2 £5 double your monies. If it's someone chasing some extra points for rate races, or someone who just wants to play a cash game alongside his double your monies, I'm not sure. He seemed quite tight. But, obviously it's super easy 3-bet with the aces. We get called in 2 spots. Flop top set on a monotone board. He had to go with this pretty big bet on this flop. That's £4.49. That chip is hiding the 4. Go with a pretty big bet. It's unlikely anyone's got an ace, but I don't want to be giving cheap draws to, like, if anyone's in there with like a king or a queen of hearts, jack of hearts, something like that. Don't want to be allowing them to realise their equity too cheaply. So we make a pretty sizable bet, considering it's a 3-bet pot on a monotone board. It's not really something. It's not a spot where I would usually use that sizing. It's usually going to be pretty small sizing on that board. But given it's multi-way, we do have top set, and there's probably some If anyone's got a reasonable sized heart, they're going to call most sizes. I like to go with the bigger size. Turn complete break. Checks to us again. I think there's nothing else to do here other than go all in. And Maisie called pretty quickly, which disappointed me. I started thinking, I hope he's got a set of tens here or a set of deuces, because if they don't, we could be in trouble against a flush. Type of folds. As it happens, we were up against a hand that was drawing dead against us, and that was another nice pot to take down. And the next time we have Coconuts 96 opening. I see Coconuts mostly as a 10-0 player who's playing quite a lot of tables at 10-0. Someone else who's probably trying to take part in the rake race. I think it's really hard to do well in rake races from 10-0, but to be fair, both Wubsy, well, especially Wubsy, because he plays literally almost exclusively 10-0, and SmartGo, who's been playing a lot of 10-0, they're riding high in their league. So I can't imagine how many hours they've had to put in across how many tables and how many thousands of hands they've had to put in to reach that position. Yeah, it's not my thing. Anyways, Coconuts, typically a 10-0 player. We 3-bet our 2 jacks. And we flop top set, which is delightful. Downsize on the flop, obviously. And decided to go a lot bigger on the turn. Once he calls that flop, some more draws develop on the turn. There's that very draw heavy board now. I'm hoping he's going to have one of the undersets, or like a decent flush draw, like a King Queen Diamonds type hand. We can get lots of value from King Queen Clubs, would be another hand, etc. So we go with a large bet, thinking, well, if he's got a medium type pair, he's probably going to fold versus most bets. And I want to try and build stacks to build the pot to easily get a comfortable jamming on the river. So didn't really want to bet small on this turn. And also, if I did have a draw, if I had a hand like the Ace Queen of Diamonds, Ace 10 of Diamonds, King Queen of Diamonds, I don't want to go with a big size too. So made sense to make a big size with my jacks. He surprised me by going all in, and at this point I just presumed that we're going to be up against like in a set over set deal. Don't think he has 8-7 almost ever here. I think he seems like a tight player. Doubt he opens that under the gun to begin with. If he does open it, how often does he defend it versus a 3-bet? So that was very unlikely that we'd beat here. There's a good chance we're going to be up against a lower set, and from time to time a pretty big combo draw. But he had none of those things. He had set the trap pre-flop and was very unlucky to run into top set on that flop. There's nothing he can do there. I like his line. I think he could definitely just 4-bet pre. Of course, he has 2 aces, and he's been 3-bet by a relatively tight player in middle position in the cutoff. I'm not going to have too many bluffs here. I don't blame him for his line. I like it. I think he's played the hand really well and just got pretty unlucky. Don't remember this hand. So we'll just see as we go along. Okay, I'll flop to set on the dry board against a weak player. Don't think this hand's going to be too interesting. I can't even remember it. Yeah, not really. Do we get to see what he had? Did he call with a... We don't even get to see what he had. Why have I put that hand in? I'm presuming he must have had like a pretty shit queen, and I was trying to demonstrate how weak his call was. Don't know. Apologies for that one. Not really sure where that one's made it in. So this hand is the first hand of my post midnight session. All the previous hands were in my afternoon session. Into the post midnight session now. It's another hand with Monty. You remember Monty from, I think it was yesterday, when he got flush over flush on us, and we overbet jammed a river and got the bad news. We got like 3 regulars at this table, but we do have 2 pretty juicy active players. Dahl was in a lot of pots. Monty's usually in a lot of pots, and I did something this and that I haven't been doing when I've been playing more tables. When I've been playing more tables, I've been very much adopting a much more of a 3-bet or fold pre-flop strategy. When I was down to like playing, just I think it was 2 or 3 tables last night at points, I was trying to find more spots where I could just call opens from weaker players in late positions, or call opens in late positions with with a wider range of hands when we have weaker players in the blinds, etc. And it felt more like I'd returned to my most comfortable style. So this would have been a 3-bet earlier in the week. We've adapted back to our old style and went with the call here to try and play a multi-way potting position with a strong hand. Monty goes with the C-bet. We can't fold for 1-bet. We turn the gut shot, so we still can't fold. And then he goes with like this size on the river, and it felt milky. It felt like it was kind of in overpaired territory, to be honest with you. But we're just getting such a good price on our call. We're getting way over 3-1 on a call, or not way over, but around 3-1 on a call. If it's value betting, we beat nothing. So we needed to be bluffing in like 20% of the time, 25% of the time or so, something like that. Is he bluffing that much? I'm not sure. I don't know enough. He's kind of loose passive pre-flop, but as we saw last night in one of the hands, he was like donked out with like a weak bottom pair and things like that. So I haven't got a solid reading him yet, other than he's clearly not a winning player and makes plenty of mistakes. So given that he's capable of making plenty of mistakes, and we're getting 3-1 to call on the river when like an obvious flush draw is missed, and maybe the odd like Jack 9, Jack 8 type hands missed too, I made the call. And he turned up with one of the bluffs he could potentially have had. Didn't expect him to have the Jack 4 off suited and raise it from early position. I mean, he limps a lot of hands. So then, like randomly raising the Jack 4 suited, it's unfathomable. Not sure what to make of it, other than just continue the read of. He's a fun player. Seems like a nice guy, but possibly there's a lot of random things that's going to take a lot of time to collate the information before we can maybe try and get some solid reads on his sizings and frequencies, etc. We defend Queen 9 suited here in the cutoff, which is something I would never do versus the good players under the gun open, but this dude in the big blind was literally, I don't think I saw him fold a hand. I played with him for over an hour, and he must have had very close to like 100% VPIP. Certainly, if you folded pre-flop maybe 2 or 3 times tops in maybe an hour and a half, he was just in every pot, 3-betting sometimes, mostly just calling. Do I want to play a pot with a suited playable hand with a player who's going to play almost any 2 cards from the big blind? So on the face of it, we get a pretty shit flop. But once the regular checks here, given how fishy this guy is, if Guy L2 had any kind of like value hand, he would not be checking in this pot with this player in the pot. So I kind of knew that this was guys checking out of the hand. So I kind of decided, right, I'm going to make a stab at this, because we'd pretty, I wouldn't say 100% sure, but I was very, very confident that Guy L2 was going to check fold here. So I just sort of make a quick stab, a very cheap stab, because this dude can have many too, so he's probably just going to miss this board by a mile and just check fold a lot. If Guy decides to then after if this dude folds and Guy does something weird like raises, I would give it no credit, and I would probably strongly consider doing like a bit of a Mike Mattersword 3-bet bluff with complete air type of line, because it wouldn't make sense for him to check raise in this spot when he's got a major whale in the big blind who was like pretty much never folding any piece. So yeah, that was the plan. It was to hopefully just take the pot down. If we get called by Topokyo, then we have some backdoor equity we can rely on. And if Topokyo folded and Gael 2 raised, I was strongly contemplating making a move, because it wouldn't make sense for him to check raise me on this board with this guy in the pot. Anyway, that didn't happen. Topokyo called. Guy folded. We turn probably one of the best cards in the deck for us in terms of like increasing our equity. We now improve to a good shot and a flush draw. Topokyo checks again. I elect to go with an overbet here, and this was designed to try and make him fold like 4x, ace highs, things like that. Safe in the knowledge that if we do get called, then we hopefully have plenty of outs to make the best hand. He did disappoint us by calling, and then we reverted an offsuit queen, and he bet this amount pretty quickly. And against most players who take like a check call overbet donk river line, I would fold this queen nine offsuit, queen nine like it was like seven deuce offsuit. It just wouldn't care. I would snap fold it. But this dude was just way too weird. I expect to see 10x a lot here when I call. But he was just weird. He's a really weird player. Could he have ace jack? Yep. Jack nine? Yep. He can have all the value hands because he's such a weird player. But he made his bet so quick, and it just felt like, and I don't know what bluffs he can have, but it didn't feel like he was strong. If this was like a tank and then a bet, I would have given it a lot more respect. But he like bet really really fast, and I just felt like, I can't fold this hand versus such a quick bet, half pot quick bet. It's like he's put no thought into it, so he's either going to turn up here with like a 10 or nothing, in my opinion. If he had rivered a straight, you would think he would at least take a little bit more time to weigh up his options. But given he bet so quickly, I kind of felt like it's going to be 10x or nothing. So I made the call. And he actually had 4-7 offsuit, which confounds my read of 10x or nothing. I guess we could count this as nothing. I don't know. Who knows what he was thinking? Maybe he wasn't even thinking. But we were grateful for the outcome. That's for sure. Here we have the 10 jack of clubs. There, this pot isn't a big pot, but I thought it was interesting. We've been 3-bet now by the same guy from the last hand who was just doing weird shit. And then he checks his flop. We have the open and straight draw, backdoor flush draw. But I was starting to learn by now this dude just does not fold. And he's capable of doing weird stuff like raising and making some bad excuses. It's just a c-bet, isn't it? I remember I didn't c-bet. And I'm not sure why I didn't. This is just a c-bet. I guess I was afraid with him because he hadn't done much 3-betting. He was just like doing a little tiny bit of 3-betting. Mostly just flatting. I guess, thinking back, I was afraid that I was going to get check raised by an overpair. Even though we've got tons of equity against that, I wouldn't want to bet here and have him make it like £8 or £9 with a check raise. If we like bet 2 and he pots it, it's going to make it very expensive for us to draw. Didn't want to face a check raise, so I just checked back. A bit weak maybe, but it's an honest assessment of why I didn't bet. Against tons of players it would just be a slam dunk bet, but against this dude I was happy to like try and make my hand keep the pot small, and try and bloat it if we hit like we do on the turn. He then leads out for full pot, which I was thinking, wow, the dude really does have the overpair, or maybe he's loose enough and weird enough to have a 6 here. I was very excited, because I thought we sat here with the nuts against a player that is remarkably active, and we had a lot of money we wanted to get in the pot here. So I went with a very large raise. I don't think we need to make it that big because, I suppose we do, because if he calls, he's going to be 40 in the pot, still going to be 26 behind. If we made it much smaller, we'd be leaving it hard to jam the river. I was hoping he had aces and wasn't going to fold. I was really like, please have a 6, or what have you. Thinking that we're going to be able to get all our money in with the nuts, like 200 blinds deep nearly, against whatever it is he might have. But sadly he folded, and he folded pretty quickly. Now, whether he did have an overpair there and just realised it was no good on that board, or whether he was just randomly bluffing, I don't know. After I made the big raise and he folded quite quickly, I was thinking, could he have made that smaller? But in hindsight, no, I'm happy with how I played the hand against this player. We don't want to worry too much about them folding. When they make these bet sizes, we want to worry a lot about setting the pot up correctly to make sure we get all the value. If we've made him fold an overpair like aces here, then it's disappointing when ace is drawing dead. But never mind. I still think the raise is in order. Maybe we could have made it slightly smaller, like 15 something. But yeah, upon review, I don't hate it. Here we have Ace, Queen of Diamonds versus JJ Binks. So I haven't seen him around for a while. He's kind of been on the missing list, whether he's been playing elsewhere, whether he's been taking a break or not, I'm not sure, but he's been back recently. He was playing a lot of tables. Whether he's interested in the rake race or whether he just likes to play a lot of tables, I'm not sure. We haven't chatted in quite a while. You should check out quite a lot on Facebook. I elected not to 3-bet because we have Jolly Dolly in the big blind, who was a blue tag player. And JJ Binks is also quite a tight player, so 3-betting versus a tight player, opening myself up to a 4-bet with a hand that's doing pretty well against his opening range, but shit against his 4-betting range, and also forcing Jolly Dolly out of the pot. None of that made any sense to me. So he went with the call. We flopped top pair with the backdoor flush draw. JJ bets small. We have the easy call. Jolly Dolly folds. Turn. Super trivial check call again. River check. And he bets, so we call again. I wasn't loving this by any stretch. It's very much similar to the first hand against Big Hawk. How many regulars do I think are like big bet bluffing rivers in these games? Some are for sure. I don't think Big Hawk's one of them. I don't think JJ's one of them. But at the same time, I mean, all the draws have missed that you can have, like the Jack 10s, Jack 9s, spades. We just can't fold this hand. It's just way too high up in our range. Felt dirty again, paying him off. But it's what we did, and he had the top set, and never mind. This one's a fun one. I am Ben. Here's the 20-0 table. He was playing super manic. Like, I'm not sure how many hands he was playing, but it was a lot. And he was opening all of them for like 3x, 4x. He wasn't folding to 3-bets. And a few times I'd like been trying to call him in position, missing quite often, and just getting blasted off by him with like firing pot-sized bets on flops and turns and things. So he's kind of... He's not the type of player that you really want to be, excuse me, making calls with drawing hands pre-flop too much against, because he just charges you so much to draw post-flop, and he wasn't really one for folding, so he wasn't a good candidate for trying to run semi-bluffs against either. And he'd ran me over a little bit at this point. He'd probably won 3 or 4 pots in a row against me. Not in a row at the table, but every pot we'd played, despite me having position on him, he was just kind of mowing me down. I was missing. It was like call, check, fold, call pre, check, fold, flop, call pre, fold, flop, call. So I elected to go with the 3-bet here to try and like wrestle the initiative from him, and also don't really want to get squeezed from 2 regulars behind in the blinds. He made the 4-bet, and he made it quite quickly. But he was just, I mean, usually ace queen off versus a under the gun open, and a 4-bet is just like an absolute turbo fold. But I don't think I've ever been more confident in an ace queen off in my entire life. And I went with the jam. And he absolutely, like, utterly snap called, and there was no consideration whatsoever. It's like, fuck, you know, being hopefully we're up against like pocket jacks, pocket 10s, and being a flip situation. When he did snap call, I jammed because I thought we had the best hand, and I kind of wanted to protect my equity as much as anything else. Like, just having fold out his king jacks, his like ace whatevers, you know, all these things. I was happy the jam was that I had to take it down pre-flop for sure, but to deny equity to hands that, probably to make him fold hands that I'm already ahead of. But there's enough in the pot. I was happy to take it down. I was confident I had the best hand. when he called, I want to confident, and then he showed up with that, and I was just like, okay, fair enough, sir. That's how you want to live your life, and I'm happy to accommodate you. And we took it down unimproved. There was a really nice sized pot at 20-0. And we move on to the last hand of the session. I was winding my session down at this time. I'm about to go to bed. I was down at 2 tables. It was like 3 in the morning or whatever. I was tired. We opened the pocket threes. Conga, very tight regular. We did a 3-bet on the button. I don't think he has many 3-bet bluffs in his range here. So we have, hopefully, quite a lot of implied odds on making a set. Which is exactly what we do. We check. He bet really quickly for full pot. Excuse me. I think he's going to be squarely in the range of like tons of overpairs here, and then when he doesn't have overpairs, he's going to have your ace king suited, ace queen suited, ace jack suited, king queen suited, all those types of things. And when he chooses this size, I just don't think he's bet folding almost ever, because I just think he's going to either have overpairs or a very strong draw. So I just elected to just pile the money in here and now before things get complicated on the turn. If a spade comes on the turn, maybe he slows down if he just has the overpair, but always like piles money in if he makes his flush, etc. Didn't want to be getting confused or having shit things happen out of position on the turn which would make the hand much harder for me. Just jamming here versus a range that I expect to be mostly calling. So good. I don't think he has 7s or 8s ever. I don't think he 3-bets those hands pre-flop. So I was very confident we had the nuts here, but it's a matter of getting the money in now before and make life easy for myself. He called very quickly. He had the 2 kings, and we just had to fade the 2 outs, which is what we did, and it was a nice way to end the session. I actually apologised to him at the table because he seems like a nice guy, and it did feel like I was hitting and running, but in my defence, I'd already started shutting down my tables. I apologised. He took it like a champion and said, no problem, nice hand, good luck, etc. So fair play to him. It's never nice getting your overpairs cracked, especially by another regular. If I'm going to get my overpairs cracked, I want it to be cracked by fish, not by regulars. But, fair play to him. Seems like he's a classy guy. He's a nit like me, very similar to me in a lot of ways. And when we get our overpairs cracked, we don't always respond the best. Even if we don't put things in the chat box, we're fuming. So if we're big enough to be to accept my apology and wish me luck, I thought that was very gracious of him. And yeah, fair play. So there we go. That's the end of the video. That's all the hands done. Lots of big pots in there. Very much a different tone to yesterday's video where we were losing lots of big pots. It's been I wouldn't say a swingy week. I'd say like we've had a couple of like downswings of over £100, a couple of upswings of over £100. We're probably up slightly on the week. I think on the month now I'm going to be up around 300ish, 350ish maybe. I'm not entirely sure. It's not been the greatest of months, but hopefully once the rate races end we can finish strongly the next 3 or 4 days. We've got the weekend coming up, which is usually a license to put money on Sky, and hopefully in the next few days we can try and push our monthly profits to £400, which is slightly short of the 500 I was hoping to make, but just for the challenge. But I'm not going to be complaining if I end up making 300, 350, 400, whatever. Then to complain about that will be churlish, because we still made a few £100s from just playing a game on the internet. So it would be churlish to complain too much. So we'll leave it there. I'm not sure when the next video is going to be. I owe 3 more videos, but I'm going back to bed now. I'm making this video at 9:30 in the morning. Going back to bed now because I'm tired, and I'm in work this afternoon, so I'm not going to play enough hands tonight to be able to produce a video tomorrow. And if I don't produce one tomorrow, it's unlikely I'm going to get all 15 done by the end of the month. So we might have to end up just extending slightly into October. But I don't think that's going to compromise my integrity as such for saying I'll do 15 videos in September for raise £150, because to be fair, a lot of the donations would come in late. It was never looking like I was going to be making the full 115 donations, so I kind of took my foot off the gas early, and then the donations are coming late, which I'm dead grateful for, but it's kind of put me up against it a little bit in terms of getting the videos done in time. Sure, nobody will mind though, if we wrap this up in the first week of October. Don't suppose anyone will give a shit. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be lucky at the tables except against me, and bye bye for now. Take care.